Today, we're going to dive into that age-old debate. What's better, working hard or working smart? But we're going to do it through a really powerful story about a millionaire, his three sons, and one very, very heavy stone. Let's see what happens.
Right? It's the question we all wrestle with. Should you just grind it out, put in more hours, or should you try to find a clever shortcut? Well, this story basically puts those two ideas in a head-to-head competition, and then it throws in a surprising third element that completely changes the game. So our story kicks off with a man named Raghav Oberoi. And for 3 solid weeks, this guy has not been able to sleep. I mean, he's a self-made multimillionaire, but he is facing the single toughest, most important decision of his entire life. See, Raghava wasn't born into money. He started out as a simple construction laborer. He literally worked his way up from the very bottom, learned the business inside and out, and built this massive global empire. But now he's 60 years old and he has to figure out which of his 3 sons is going to take over the whole thing. The stakes could not be higher.
And this is where things get really fascinating. Raghav loved all 3 of his sons, of course, but each one had a completely different way of looking at the world, at work, at life itself, and this set the stage for one heck of a test.
So let's meet the players. First up, you've got Arun, the oldest. His whole mantra is basically more pain, more progress. He's strong, he loves hard work, and he's super proud of it. Then there's Vikas, the middle son. He is the polar opposite. He can't stand manual labor and is always looking for a smarter way, a shortcut. And finally, we have Rohan, the youngest. He's the quiet one, spends more time watching and thinking than actually doing. So to figure this all out, Raghava comes up with a challenge. It's a kind of race, I guess you could call it, but he designed it very carefully so that only a true leader, the son with the right mindset, could possibly win. Okay, so the rules were pretty straightforward, but brutal. Each son gets this huge, square block of soapstone. We're talking nearly 500 kilograms here. That's over 1,000 pounds. Their job? Move it almost a full kilometer across a rough, dirt construction yard. They could use little hand tools like hammers and chisels, but absolutely no heavy machinery. So you see, it was a test of brains just as much as brawn.
With the rules laid out, the race was on. And almost instantly, you could see each brother's true colors, their core philosophy just shining through.
Just like you'd guess, Arun doesn't waste a second. He just digs in, puts his shoulder to that massive stone, and starts pushing with everything he's got. It's slow, agonizing work on that soft dirt, but inch by painful inch, he's moving, totally convinced that his hard work is gonna win the day. Vikas, on the other hand, watches Arun struggle for like a minute, and you can just see him thinking, there has got to be a better way. So he grabs a hammer and chisel and gets to work, chipping away at the sharp corners of his stone. His plan? Turn that clunky square into a smooth, easy-to-roll sphere. Pretty smart, right? And then you have Rohan. He hasn't touched his stone. He's not even breaking a sweat. Instead, he just watches his brothers for a bit, and then he does something really strange. He just calmly walks the entire 1-kilometer path from start to finish, just looking at the ground. Everyone's probably thinking he's given up before he even started. So at first, Vikas's smart work approach totally pays off. Once his stone is a sphere, it rolls pretty easily, and boom, he blows past Arun. He's in the lead. But then he hits a problem. The path isn't perfectly flat. It's got bumps and dips and even some slight inclines. All of a sudden, his clever solution isn't working so well anymore.
And this is the moment. This is when Rohan finally makes his move. He also carves his stone, but he makes it a cylinder, not a sphere. And then he does something absolutely brilliant. He grabs a shovel and starts leveling the path out in front of his stone, creating a nice, gentle, consistent downhill slope. He didn't just change the object, he changed the environment itself.
So after preparing that path, Rohan gives his cylinder one single push. And it starts to roll. And it just keeps rolling. It smoothly sails right past Arun, who's still sweating and pushing, and right past Vikas, who's frustrated and stuck. It crosses the finish line with almost zero effort. He won. So, how in the world did he do it? It clearly wasn't just about working hard, and it wasn't just about working smart. Rohan had tapped into a third, much more powerful idea. Leverage. That was the secret. When his father asked him how he did it, Rohan explained that he used a mix of both hard work and smart work, but he amplified it. He took the best parts of his brother's ideas. He put in the hard work to carve the stone and had the smart idea to change its shape, but then he added that killer ingredient. This whole concept is perfectly captured by something called the 80-20 principle. You've probably heard of it. It's the idea that in almost anything, about 80% of your results will come from just 20% of your efforts. Rohan instinctively got this. He figured out that the path was the critical 20% of the problem that would unlock 80% of the results. Let's just look at the difference here, side by side. Arun put 100% of his effort into the stone, fighting a constant battle against friction and gravity. Rohan, on the other hand, put his initial effort into the path, the leverage point. He literally made gravity his best friend instead of his worst enemy, getting this massive result for a tiny fraction of the ongoing effort. So after the race, Raghav gathered his sons. And with a little help from a wise friend, he laid out the 5 huge lessons that this whole challenge was designed to teach them. All right, here are the takeaways. Number 1, focus on the very few things that actually move the needle, like prepping the path. 2, just because you're suffering doesn't mean you're making progress. Effectiveness is the goal. 3, get rid of the obstacles before you start the main task. Rohan cleared the way first. 4, leverage is a force multiplier. Gravity did most of the work for him. And finally, number 5, a big one. The biggest wins often come from the places nobody else is looking. And that really brings us to the ultimate lesson of this whole story. True sustainable success, it isn't about choosing between hard work and smart work. It's about being the wise worker, the person who knows how to blend both, and then powers them up with leverage. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. In your own life, in your career, your studies, your personal goals, where's your point of leverage? What is that